Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's message, I'm going to be talking about what do we do when God feels a million miles away from us? How can we get through these times knowing that He is still there with us? So I'm going to be sharing with you a time where I felt as though God was not around me, and this included even praying for people. Today I was walking through the shopping centre and I noticed a couple of people that I felt to go and pray for, but I also had a strong feeling that God was a million miles away from me, and I really did not feel like going to pray for these people. And so I ended up going to pray for these people anyway. And afterward, when I went back to my car, I still felt as though God was at a distance from me. But because of how much I've gone through with God and how much of His character He has revealed to me personally, I was able to get through these feelings and moments, even though I still went through insecurity and I felt like I needed reassurance and for Him to let me know that He was still there. Let's talk about a few reasons why this can happen to us. And it can happen to everyone, no matter if you're a pastor, prophet, a teacher, a strong believer. Everyone can experience these moments. And I believe it's just in our human nature. Sometimes we can, fall into Sometimes we can, be in and out of our feelings. We kind of treat God as though He was one of our parents, with the way that our parents treated us when we were growing up. And our attachment style, believe it or not, can affect the way that we perceive God and how well we know that He is there with us at every moment throughout the day. Always to just know that He's there. So another reason that this can actually come up for us is because we're feeling disappointed with God. Maybe we don't want to admit it, but we could actually be feeling a bit disappointed or discouraged with God in this moment. Maybe you've felt as though He hasn't come through for you yet in a prayer that you've been praying to Him about. And you've got that in the back of your mind whilst you're going about throughout your day. And in those times, it's best that you confess that to God and actually tell Him that you're feeling disappointed in Him and give Him the reason why, and just leave it with God to get that burden off of yourself. And you will actually feel a sense of relief by doing that. Another reason that we can feel that God is a million miles away is because we've actually had no personal revelation that He is with us always. And this is something that God will need to work on you with. And if you're willing, He's willing to help you with that. I can honestly tell you that prophetic words help a lot with this. We can get this understanding in our head, but we need to get it from our head to our heart, knowing that God is always with us, no matter what type of feelings we're experiencing, whether they're disappointment, frustration, loneliness. It does take a personal revelation to actually know that God is with you when you're in those feelings, and to just know that He's there by faith. Another reason that this can happen is because of our own abandonment and rejection issues. So again, when I say that based upon how our parents treated us growing up, is how we are in this relationship with God. So we could also be subconsciously avoiding God and not knowing that we're doing it because that's how we behaved with our parents, right? Maybe they weren't safe to be open around all the time. Maybe you felt as though your parents were by a distance from you, even though you lived with them, but you felt there was always this emotional distance, and you would purposely distance yourself from your parents. So we actually do this with God. You know, this is mainly where we get our information about who God really is, first from our parents. So I'm going to be sharing with you some tips in how you can deal with these moments as they come up and work through them with God, and to be able to keep your peace knowing that He is there with you all the time. Tip number 1 that I have for you: when this feeling comes up, just notice it. Catch yourself, in your mind, and just realize, okay, I am actually feeling like distance from God right now. I feel like He's a million miles away from me. And just start to dig around and see what the feeling is that's coming up for you. Is it disappointment? Are you angry with God? If that's the case, in those moments, speak directly out loud to God. Get rid of those feelings, get them off your chest. Just ask Him to give you peace in that moment instead. When you have thoughts coming at your mind telling you that God is far from you, God is distant, I don't feel like He's with me anymore, it also can be the enemy coming against your mind. And so sometimes you really need to question, where are these thoughts coming from? Are they actually my thoughts? Or is it the enemy trying to cause a distance between me and God, trying to make me not believe that He's really there with me? So in those moments, it's best to just notice your thoughts and don't take them like they're your own thoughts. And start to speak out loud to those thoughts and question the voice that's actually in your mind telling you that God is far from you. And in that moment, remind yourself, God is with me. God will never forsake me. God will never leave me. And just say it out loud a few times. When those voices return, you repeat it and you keep telling them, no, this is the truth. Another tip that I have for you guys is to intentionally practice God's presence throughout the day. And this will give you a sense of assurance and security that God is there with you. A way that we can practice being in His presence, because He's always there with us, right? He lives inside of us, but sometimes we forget that, and we are human sometimes, and we are going by our feelings and emotions. So it's really good to just calm yourself in those moments and choose, maybe 3 to 5 times throughout the day. Just practice being still and just talk out loud and say, thank you, Jesus. I acknowledge your presence is here with me now. Though I don't feel you, I just want to let you know that I'm acknowledging your presence here with me. And if you do this a number of times throughout the day, consistently, on a regular basis, you will actually start to believe and acknowledge that He is always there with you. And it will help to give you a kind of a reminder that He is there. Another tip is to understand that it's by faith to know and remember that God is with us. Sometimes, as I said, we can be going by our feelings and emotions. In those moments, catch yourself, shift your focus back to your faith, and tell yourself, God is with me. Though I'm not feeling it, though my emotions are telling me otherwise, God is still with me. Another tip that I have for you guys is to ask God to give you reassurances throughout the day and throughout your week. He talks to us all very uniquely and very differently. For me personally, I'm able to hear his voice quite loudly, and he speaks to me visually throughout the day. But also, this is because I have gone quite deep with him into his character, and I know when he's talking to me. But I know for some of you out there, you don't actually know when God is talking to you. And this can also be because you still are believing lies about his character, which block you from being able to see and notice when he is trying to talk to you. Regardless, just be persistent with asking God to confirm that he is there with you, to give you guys some confirmation throughout the day. And he might speak to you, and he might speak to you audibly, he might speak to you visually like he does with me. Just be aware that there are so many ways God can talk to us, and he loves his children, and he will be wanting to reassure you that he is there with you. I can just advise you to just pay attention throughout your day and listen out with expectancy that you're going to get a confirmation that he is actually with you. Well, I hope these tips have helped someone out there who might be struggling with being able to grasp that God is actually there with you. I just want to remind you that he's never left you. He will never forsake you, no matter if you sin or not. He absolutely loves his children. And I hope this has been a reminder for you.